We're doing a spell run. Because I decided we would. Optimal farming in progress, of course. Was run over? Yeah, we finished the Blizzard run. It was pain. It sucked. I absolutely hated it. We did it on C20 and we're still like pulling teeth. Only 59? Well, because we had insane duration. Guess you did the Buffmeister. I actually didn't end up using it, my micro. Instead of using that, I just put it to C20. It still struggled against certain things, but guess you could say Blizzard was the most cast efficient run you did. But that comes from stream audio? What do you mean? I heard a ringtone for a Zoom call or something. Mm. Making sure I have everything set up for this. Oh yeah. Can I run 2 instances of this? Doesn't recognize mouse buttons. Unfortunate. Let me try. That's fine. Let's see. I'm trying to set up the counter to increment from 2 different inputs, but it's not quite working. This will be fine, though. Okay, so spell only run. I'll just have to remember to manually increment each time I use my left hand spell, which shouldn't be too hard. Doing this to fill the time because I don't want to end super early, so it should only take like an hour 45 or something. If I do dialogue skipping as mod or something, just remove a specific file. And then in like the in engine cutscenes like this, you still have to wait for everything to play out for the same amount of time it normally would, but for any dialogue lines that happen, as a regular dialogue line would, it just gets skipped and you don't have to wait. Shaves off a lot of time from the run. Because of the file the game's checking just isn't there. It's a lot quieter, but efficient. Back what we doing now? We're doing a spell run. Okay, so we got Trickster's Ice Spikes. Alright, let's do the thing. Now, I don't have much prepared in terms of movement speed here. Should have grabbed a slip and stun or something, but instead I will distract you by pointing out how much of this sniper rifle just obscures my screen. And how you will now be subject to that for the next 2 hours. I will keep a mental count of each time I use my left hand spell, because that does not increment, as you can see with this combat we're about to do. I've always been running Shell Casing Ring because it gives you the biggest bonus, and in a build where you are not shooting, you don't care that you're at low ammo. That goes up to 15 if I behold it. Okay, hang on. Wait, so a full input for repeating? That just... that does so many. Oh no. Alright, hang on. Let's correct this. This is fixable. Bro, 100 spells in the first area? Real. I know how I'll handle this. I'll do, for this hand, I'll just run a different spell. Have to be simple cast. Just run the Gossip, honestly. Gossip one hand, Ice Spike the other. Yeah, I like that. Okay, we'll have to go through that cutscene again, but I'll fix the other thing while we do that. This is what happens when I don't test stuff ahead of time. Geared spell runs, just playing the game. We live spells, we do. -7. Yeah, I'll put on Wicked Gossip in the left hand. Then I'll just use the repeating Trickster in the right. I could just use simple cast Tricksters to avoid that problem. But yeah, the way the program I use to log the counter works is based on time. So if I hold down for the full repeating channel, it's so how's everyone's day? Conditions was so good. I've heard that. I'm not familiar personally though. Okay. There we go. Arctic Ninja, how you doing? It's your birthday on Sunday? Nice. Happy almost birthday. It's mine on Wednesday. Playing BL1, trying to roll and playthrough. It's nice so far. Yeah, if I was to do a BL1 playthrough anytime soon, I'd play Roland. I don't really quite remember how he works or anything. I'd like to experience that. Just close your eyes and wonder, the subtitles say. Just close your eyes and wonder. She's very persistent. Yeah, that's for the other one. So I'll just I'll cast a dud spell to mirror the other hand. Let's run now. Spells. 3 days. I mean, I doubt we're the same year, but maybe. Strokes unclear. They were very clear, Era. You were always going to do that. Yeah, this is C100 intense with spells. Trickster Ice Spike about to go crazy. Yeah, every spell I just kind of cast out of combat is going to be to keep the counter accurate. Because it doesn't track my right hand, only left hand. See what I actually intended for, it just looks so mad and adorable. It's Quagcaller. It was made when Blightcaller was announced, but not out yet. And it's the meme of the angry dude calling on the phone. Am I really me if I don't have meme emotes? Memotes? Yes. I'm stuck. Yeah, so I really don't have any movement speed on this. So the degree by which this is faster is going to be purely on clear rate. Hey, Raid Sauce, how you doing? Auditing paid time off accruals is exciting. Ugh. That sounds like the worst. Ugh. Dragon Lord, can you hurry it up? Thank you. Yeah, I think the timer's current right now. Not the timer, the counter. I'll try not to fall behind on spellcasts. I need to do an extra Wicked Gossip for every full channel of the Ice Spike I do. So we are already several minutes faster than the Blizzard run, by the way. Spells at C100 faster than Blizzard at C20 Omega Lol. Well, that's that. Ever surprised about that though? No. Made it through bad props. Thank you. It was painful. Not email notifications reminded me tax time's coming up. I don't know if you can see the shrine beams a lot. It's because of the save editing. Because they're active in this because their progress wasn't reset. But the ocean hasn't been blown up yet. So they're there on your first playthrough as well, they're just not active so the beam isn't there. Because the beam only turns on once you've completed them. Looks cool though, it does. Hand it to me, Mike. I might have quit one line too early. Yeah, I save quit one line too early. Be tragic if this hard locked me. Losing time to load screens. Yeah, it was one line too early. What am I gonna do for food today, chat? I'm hungry. Burritos? I've been ordering too much takeout, but I want to. Also bad weather, so I don't really want to make someone drive. Went out for the dashers. I tried to. I'm gonna make for food then. I have ramen noodles. I think I have some ground beef. Not defrosted. I have eggs. Enemies? Hey, we're shy, apparently. Let's to catch up for those. Ramen FedEx sounds pretty dope. Yeah, it does. Soup and a sandwich. Could do that. Don't Blizzard only already? Yeah, we put it on C20, Felicia. And it was still painful. It only took 2 hours 20, something like that, because C20. Um, but most of that time was still me sitting there waiting for it to be available or waiting for it to kill. Still by far the most frustrating and unfun of the runs, despite being the shortest, which I think says more about it. The thing is, Blizzard used on its own, like, without doing things while Blizzard is active, is horrible. But if I was to shoot a gun or cast a spell or something during Blizzard, well, that would be way better than Barrage would be. But either way, they're competing for the most frustratingly awful action skill in the game. It's between the Spore action skills. $220 on C20 with dialogue skip, isn't that great? Yeah, it's like, like C20 is fast. Plague Storm only. Be pain if you can't do anything else. Yeah, because like it does do some damage on its own, but it'd be like doing an Echo Hilt only run. Like a level 1 melee weapon with Echo is your only source of damage. It'd be like, well, technically, yeah, that's gonna eventually be able to clear almost everything in the game, but ugh. And then on top of that, you would also be having to, like, every time you have an encounter that's outside of the radius of your Plague Storm, you have to wait for it to end, then you get your cooldown back, and then place it again. The next one's gonna be Pog Totems, though. I think that'll be fun. I will definitely have to do some customization to see which chaos level I want to do that on. I think 50 is a good baseline, because we did a lot of the other ability ones on 50. It's Quagsley. Hey Ken, how you doing? Um, I think Pog Totem on C50 sounds good. And we could get weird with it. We could do the Theurge inflammation stuff we were doing on the Cleansing Flames one to just have a really good cooldown. Get the thumbnails ready. Thank you, Felicia, for all your hard work. It really does mean a lot. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ken, I finally started shiny hunting in Scarlet Violet. Like, very casually. I've only gone after a couple things, but like yesterday I went and just on a whim I got a shiny Toxtricity. So I have a Psyduck, a Toxtricity, and a Clodsire so far. There goes the Blizzarding. Blizzard sucked. Absolutely painful. We're doing a spell-only run now, though. And that's fun. Nice and chill. Is that a pun? Yes. I'm glad you caught it. It's maybe a little deadpan because Blizzard just emotionally killed me. But that was the intent. The pun, not the emotional death. Not the full inventory. Having to do that. Wild. Shinies as trophies are better for breeding. They're just trophies. In Generation 2, they did have technically better stats, but since Generation 3, shinies are just trophies. Alternate color schemes to chase, that's all. Yeah, the first shiny I was going for was Wooper, because I really like shiny Paldean Wooper. And while I was going for it and having no success and being incredibly unlucky, I got ambushed by a shiny Psyduck, so of course that was my first shiny. Like, just sprinted into me. I was like, oh, okay. Shiny Dratini. I was thinking about doing that one next. Because I do like Dragonite in Gen 9. Mostly going for Pokemon I actually want to use first. Like, I'm not going to go get a shiny Kricketune. You know? Like, what's the point of that? Shiny Veluza? Oh, yeah, those things are so aggressive. Shiny Lucario. Might go for that one. We actually one-shot her so hard, the body despawned. Not even a corpse. But really hard to get more than 2 totems on the field in time. Yeah, that was the thought behind Theurge. They're low enough chaos that they kill, they'll extend their own duration. That's true. It's gone for about how many blizzards does it take to the center of the Dragon Lord? It was like 50, right? But, like, it was really bad. The playthrough sucked, didn't it? It only went in a reasonable amount of time because dialogue skip. Like, there was a bunch of times where we were simply sitting in a corner waiting for Blizzard to either catch up to enemies or to actually do damage while it was on the enemies. I'm so sorry. Me too. Me too. It's one of those things that, like, I still maintain that I'd rather use it than Barrage, provided I was allowed to use other things while having Blizzard active. Like a Blizzard build where I'm also casting a Trickster Ice Spike. Like, that could be fun. Be enjoyable. Like, I got a Trickster Ice Spike in one hand and I'm shooting my gun with the other. All that stuff happening during Blizzard. It'd be cool. But, that ain't us. Hey, Moo. Menacingly. That was the vibe I got. You know, fast traveling to the overworld's probably faster than doing this run, and I'm pretty sure I've said that the last 2 runs. But I've still not tested. Nails are back on, the bad bitch is back. Gotta watch the ocean blow up again. You do the Lord's work. Hope you know. I do my best. Around these parts, we blow the ocean as almost as much as we blow George Washington. That's a series of very specific references. Oh, what? So in Back for Blood, there's a map where on the radio you hear about blowing George Washington, and now they're referring to detonating the George Washington Bridge to, you know, stop zombies. FBI, this is in a video game about zombies, fictional. But because we're mature around here. It's a blowjob joke. Only on days that end in Y, Mugro. This is also kind of serving as a trial run, because I do like the idea of doing a full geared spell run like this, but like actually optimized for speedrun. Like I wouldn't need as much damage, and I'd get more movement speed. I think that'd be cool. And I'd barrel myself, as is tradition. Like that. I'd even try to understand. It's a good question. Out of range. It's not BL3 Ground Slam. Orc, move. Come on. Sorry, Mr. Satan. Unknown purposes count as ambidextrous only run. I guess, yeah. Yeah. Sparbaloo due to Ludites. Exactly what you'd expect. Extremely powerful ricochets. Keep in mind, the Barbaloid ricochets are not themselves bullets. They're just an unsourced thing that's double dipped. So they won't also be stickies, for example. But a Barbaloid that happens off of a Ludite explosion is, strong. Sorry to just raid David, because I heard Barbaloid Ludite, and there you go. Popular combo. Oh, thanks, Torg. Sticky explosion, proc Barbaloid. Huntress. When I say damage procs Barbaloid, I mean damage procs Barbaloid. You don't need to ask if it would. Is it damaged? Procs Barbaloid, if the target has a crossbolt in it. That's it. It's that simple. Welcome back, Peric. Counter only tracks the second spell. Yeah, I'm trying to hit the first one extra to help increment that. I'm keeping a mental count, but inattentive streamer. I'm doing 30 things that work while listening. You're good. I'm chilling. I missed. Does that include emotional damage? Yes. Slow Banshee kill. Unacceptable, honestly. Stadia officially shut down. Stayed with theme delay to very end, delaying it by 2 hours. Amazing. Can't even stop properly. Incredible. Look at the Stadia. What does that spell? In my left hand, I have a Wicked Gossip. In my right hand, I have a Trickster Ice Spike, repeating variant. As you can see, spells are absolutely incredible in this game, and there's lots of options. Just took some time to figure out what's what. One of the The early justifications made by defenders of the Buffmeister was, but then no one would use anything else because they all suck. Hit control. Well-timed Quag Chad. Oh boy, it's Quag o'clock. The mug's empty. See, I'm back for making food right in time for best scene, of course. It's cool with dialogue skip because it still works with what Torg's doing, but he just ends up facing the wrong way. Like, he still sees the explosion and is like, that's sick. He's looking at us instead. Because cool guys don't look at explosions. Fish gets me every time. Seeing its beauty in the reflection of your eyes. Oh, the fish on the screen effect, it's fantastic. You know, you always say I'll stab myself with my nails. Did you? Finally? Incremented the counter a little bit because I forgot to hit it a few times there. The 8 years of my practice, I've officially sliced myself in the nails. Skill issue, honestly. It's okay, I hate me for that one too. Jerks or spikes are crazy. I'll move the counter a little more onto the screen, next load screen. How sharp do your nails have to be for you to cut yourself with them? Moo has talons. Left ass cheek. I suppose that's better than the middle ass cheek. Beauty is pain, they say. Trying not to get hit by the crabs here. It's why I'm moving so erratically, because I'm terrified. What does a lava sound like? Unmarked van. The lava van just out of water by the lava van. The water cars that sound jiggles your entire body. Oh, jeez. Jimmy the bags. What? I'm gonna assume that's song lyrics or something. $1 million idea. Wipe mittens for people with long ass nails to safely go number 2. Ship it. Moo? I don't think anyone needs that update. I don't think give it as anyone else. I suppose that's a relevant question. No, Quag did not. You didn't get yeeted into the crevasse? Yeah, for once. Did it work on the first try, on the Blizzard run? I don't remember. I think I've already repressed most of that run. Like, I genuinely do not remember half of what was going on because I was just not here. You know when you're here, but you're not really here? Yeah, that's using Blizzard. At least Barrage, to its credit, I was here, suffering, but, you know, not dissociating. Blizzard like Gaza this much. Did my stream title not update when I updated my stream title? Or did you just not refresh? Nice then. That was you. Happier now that I'm not using Blizzard. Update, just making a joke? Okay, okay. Because it's hard for me to tell, because, you know, it's generally a safer assumption to assume that something with Twitch didn't work. So I need to increment by 3 extra. There we go. That's for that one. Not gonna lie, these runs do kind of make me want to learn the speedrun route for this game instead of just playing game fast, and then just apply that, you know, dialogue skip, actual speedrun route. Geared. The 75 in the last physics test of the year, and I thought I completely failed. It's a moderately sized pogger. That is indeed a singular pog. You can make it plural for poggers when you you do better on the next one. You can have another pog if you're good. Dad. Yeah, this Wellerman seems like a stand-up guy. For more updates for this game. They've not said that they're not doing anything. And the Borderlands 2, which inhabited the longest lens drought of information that we've had to date still, they would just randomly sometimes update the game. Like the update where they made Cloud Kill not shit was just kind of no warning, out of nowhere type stuff. No file a chance. So, Lands fans over the last few years have kind of had it easy with updates and such. Like, they've been pretty vocal since, like, 2018, right? Like, we got Borderlands 3 trailers, and then release date, Commander Lilith, Borderlands 3 content cycle. Wonderlands announcement, release. New Tails, and now we're in the drought. So we don't know how long this phase is gonna last. From late 2018 through late 2022, we've just constantly had stuff. New dialogue skip. Deleted or I didn't delete it, I just moved it out of the folder. Moved one of the pack files. That too somehow didn't work. Make sure you move the correct one, because that's all I did. I did nothing else. Really hope there's something substantial still coming for this game. I would like that as well. Would not surprise me if it didn't happen though. I always encourage keeping your expectations tempered. Jake, what are you doing? Yeah. Nothing else, Redux? Yeah. Modding community's done a bunch of stuff for this game. And has a bunch of stuff in the works. So... $169, nice. Girl who really needs to take down. My opinion on takedowns, as they would be implemented in this game, varies moment to moment. It's 3, but there's multiple things in that folder with the 3 in it, and I am currently in a run, so I cannot check at the moment. Sen, you're being obnoxious again. Is the takedown substantially different mechanically from more Chaos Chambers? That's the thing. Less than people would consciously digest? Like, how different would a Chaos Chamber run with different rooms be from a takedown? Like, a fixed run with rooms we haven't had before, with a boss we haven't had before, with a boss in the middle. How different would that be from a takedown? It'd just be the framing of it. Like, the fourth mirror, with different framing, could have just been released as a takedown. So, like, the whole not as much variety thing that people talk about, a lot of it is just framing. The content itself wouldn't be different to a point. There's still a kernel of truth there that I absolutely agree with the validity of, but like, at the end of the day, it's how you dress things up. And Perrick had a really good analogy the other day where it's just like, if you had a burger that was too big to properly take a bite out of, or if you just laid out those ingredients in several separate dishes next to each other, people would find the separated version more immediately attractive, instead of trying to rationalize a way to deal with the first one, despite it fundamentally being the same things. Getting my counter up to date with those. About to have the sub 1 hour drill. That's pretty cool. Never let doesn't fit in my mouth stop me. Live your truth, J-Bridge. Slay. Yas. Story DLC standalone raid bosses, wave defense similar to Slaughter Shot would be more quote-unquote variety than takedown. Yeah. I'm glad you used the quotes there. See, I personally have absolutely zero interest in story DLC or standalone raid bosses. Those aren't kinds of content that I find at all interesting. But like, wave defense type stuff, that could totally be packaged in a way that it would just be a Chaos Chamber thing. But if they did it outside of the Chaos Chamber, people would be like, oh yeah, that's what we wanted. Because the whole thing is specifically wanted to be outside of the chamber, even if it is the same thing as the chamber. Hey, Sora. Barbecue or burger? Burger sounds good right now. One could argue doing a run on Bloodshot Stronghold is just to test build speed is a Chaos Chamber mechanically, so marketing matters. Yeah, it's just what is stringing the pieces together. Even non-gameplay things stringing the pieces together. It's all perception. Like, Digipeak, to me, is basically the first takedown, because it's a clearly defined separate activity with progression through an area and multiple boss encounters. Like, that's kind of how people define takedown, right? And that's also repeatable. Right, that's a key bit. That is a key bit. Repeatable. Bloodshot Stronghold is an example of excellent mobbing through an area. You know, progression over a wide space. That's fun. And repeatable. But it doesn't have the mid-boss, end-boss structure, and is not clearly defined as a separate activity, rather just it's a map that exists. But I recognize that those dividing lines are completely arbitrary, and that gameplay is always what matters, nor are there consequences if you die. Right. Is the game alright? Oh, we had the double drill there because the voice line that plays when you finish the first phase doesn't happen, so the second phase appears while the first one is still disappearing. It doesn't change the gameplay at all. There's just a thing blocking me. And then it works out fine after that. One might argue the way from Thousand Cuts up to and including Bunker could be seen as a takedown as well. It's not repeatable in its full form. It does have the core thing of, hey, this is some rather intense mobbing through a sprawling area towards a boss. Like, that fundamentally is the thing that makes takedowns an interesting format. It's just, missing bits and pieces and is part of a story thing. But this just proves how versatile the takedown format is and how, at its core, Lands games are at their best when you're mobbing. Like, I still very frequently get pushback when I'm like, yeah, these games aren't about farming. They're like, but why? It's all about farming. Like, no, it's about mobbing. It's also why I think standalone raid bosses are rather uninteresting, because you are minimizing the gameplay experience down to one thing when you could have the core experience and, I don't know. Just mobbing is where these games shine. Why game? I take the replace grenades as spells just because you're always tired of people skipping because of grenade jumps. I know you don't believe that, but some people would actually die on that hill. It's crazy. Let's standalone raid bosses because usually they're harder than my skill level, which forces more farm for better gear, more research for better build, more practice. I fell through the bone hole again. I did a few runs without falling into the bone hole, but I just couldn't resist. I wasn't careful. Bone hole got him. I'm weak. Yeah, raid, and that comes down to, like, people enjoying different things out of these games. I enjoy the theory crafting of it as well, and the bit of overcoming challenges. But I like for it to be in more long-form activities, personally. That's just me, that's what I like. And there's no one definitive answer to that, other than let everyone have multiple options. Which is why BL3's endgame content model works so much, because we have a lot of different flavors of stuff to do. People who like that standalone raid boss, well, you got Hemo, and as long as you don't mind them being mechanically simple, the true Trials bosses are functionally that, because you can just get to them very easily. Although it does take some amount of mobbing, which does appease people like me who want it to be long form. However, for completely standalone, you have Hemo, you have Aistaz, who's a meme. Seer is raid boss level, if not raid boss mechanically. Also Joey. Joey is neither raid boss HP level, nor is he standalone. You actually have to do a lot to get to Joey, which is part of why I like Joey, in all honesty. I saw, I believe this was in Moxie's chat last night, someone was asking how Cartel would have changed if it was released as a DLC, and I'm like, it would have gotten worse. Because, like, the cool thing about Cartel is you can have it affect your game anywhere you go, and then when you feel like going to that area, you can just do that one takedown as one, Freudian slip. That one area is almost a sort of takedown. And it's even got variable structure. You know how, Mirror 3 in this game had branching, not branching, you had to do certain objectives, but you could do them in any order you wish? Well, Cartel has the mask you need to get is in several different locations, depending on the run. And the specific mini-bosses you get different depending on the run. That little bit of extra variety injected into an otherwise static format goes such a long way. I wonder how much HP Joey has. Like 3.5 bill or even more. I don't remember offhand how much he has, but just know that it is not raid boss level HP. It's definitely more than story bosses. Spells for pure utility more than just sigils like move speed wasn't part of Buffmeister. Yeah, Tyrex, that'd be really nice. Wholeheartedly agree. People would have skewered Cartels if it was paid content. Yeah. If you love movement and exploration, you'll love Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3. Shout out to Cartel Event for being cool. So true, bestie. Only one map and one boss. Too repetitive. Power creep gear. You imagine the complaints? Boss too spongy. Oh, that'd be wild. I think the issue is a lot of lands raid boss, especially in BL2, don't really hit a good spot between balance and challenge. Like, if you're fighting Hyperius as intended rather than using one of the methods chosen, it feels like you're doing it wrong. I would say Hyperius is one of the lesser offenders, personally, but I agree with everything else you've said there, Darth Plagueis. Like, Veracitus proved to be a bridge too far for most players, even though the more hardcore tend to enjoy it. Or at least appreciate the intention behind it. Meanwhile, Terramorphous and Pyropete are fucking memes. Dexy is a puzzle, not a boss fight. Vermi is just a Varkid with a bigger health bar and a name. You know, like, very few of them hit the actual sweet spot of, oh, this is an interesting fight that has challenge, demands player involvement. Actually one-shot him. Amazing. Yeah, Hatterax. Hatterax is a great example of that done well. I think Hyperius is closer to a success than a failure in that department. Because you still have a high degree of player involvement in that fight. Dragons were an attempt, but they're too buggy and awful. So, no. And Soft Orb was a debate. We're not really debating anything. Terra was fun until people discovered B in conference call combo. No, Terra's never been interesting. Like, throw out B conference call. Okay, Terra gets absolutely memed on by Axton throwing anything. It's a boss that moves infrequently, is mechanically light, and gets cheesed by his own terrain, even without you consciously doing the obvious cheese spots. It's just not It's not a cool fight. Sucks. It's better than most in that game, but again, like, low bar. Actually, Accent Struggle on Terra? No. Gunnerang harder. Gets grenade resistance, simply Gunnerang harder. Like, you know how Wotan has cryo resistance? Simply cryo harder. Try harder, Strimmer Bully. Clip it, ship it. Great spectacle. Yeah, on paper, it's one of those things that, like, wow, there's this gorgeous view, this otherworldly enemy. Like, it's got good atmosphere behind it, but it's all performance, no substance. At least in my opinion. Punching bag, yeah. Again, not to the degree of, say, Pyro fucking Pete, which just offends me. I know he's got some mitigating factors, some attempts at interesting things, but Pete is just frustratingly representative of how many ways BL2 hit, like, almost good with their boss design. Almost. Oslan's P, Giga Chad. Sounds like the punch down in Baby's first raid boss. Yeah, it's fair enough. How's Oslan's P difference? He's much faster. 2.5 times faster, I believe. There's Crawmerax, aka sitting around an elevator for 2 minutes and get immediately one shot. BL1 Craw, because of the way that game worked, was, like, actually good. BL2 Craw, exactly what you said, though. Yeah, that was... Why do people pride themselves on being immune phase haters in BL3, but then they pretend that BL2 Craw wasn't awful? Someone explain this to me. Like, if Pyro Pete has a die, you need to cleanse using a map mechanic, the fight itself is very boring. Yeah, it's an almost thing. Like, the mechanic, on paper, really cool. But, like, he can't threaten you. Not really. And that's notable for a game where most people solve the very few actually threatening situations with just equip lifesteal gun. Crave Tartar now. Haven't had it forever. I think I've only had Tartar once. Yep, that's fair enough, Darth Plagueis. It's not as big of a deal to me, but, like, I get what you're getting at, and I don't think you're off base. So this spell counter isn't going to be very precise because I'm sort of having to remember to double up on the left one, but it'll be a good general indicator. We'll go like plus or minus 50 on it. Similar to Master Yi, the fight having mechanic that if you kill the worm, some sort of die, get more damage. Cool mechanic, the fight's boring. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in that game's boss design that's like cool on paper, but remember the game this is in. Hell, that extends to mob design in the Dragon Keep DLC. That's why I maintained that Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep has the worst gameplay in all of Lands. Because not only are the bosses, par for the course for Borderlands 2, but the mobs have gained the problems of the bosses, unlike everywhere else in the game. Like, Hyperion mobbing in BL2 feels really good, because it's just well designed. Good enemy diversity, good gameplay around each of them. Feels satisfying. There's no real bullshit other than surveyors being slightly annoying at times, depending on what the AI chooses to do. Like, pretty fair and balanced, Hyperion mobbing. But then, like, Dragon Keep mobbing. And as we discussed earlier, mobbing is the most important thing to me in these games. Remember Deadshot being the big multi-class combo people talked about at launch. In this Reckons, it still is good. Yeah, Deadshot has kind of always been in that situation. Spellshot lost a bit of power off the top, but it's kind of like how shaving damage off of Moe's and a couple of anointments late in BL3's life cycle didn't really do anything except reduce the theoretical max, right? And Deadshot is still the premier spellcaster setup. Now, it's not really ideal for anything else, but if you're going to spellcast, this is the class combo, and none of the others come close to this degree of efficiency and ease of use. Obviously, you have your unique cases where a certain spell might have a particular synergy with another class, or you can get in a single target calc a bigger number by doing a different class instead, but overall, Deadshot is, the Deadshot show. Snipers interact with Deadshot. So the reason why I'm holding this Eidolon is because it gets the most stacked gun crit formula, and Double Knot, the spell shot skill, is a bonus element that calculates as gun damage on top of your spell. So anything that, and it can crit. So anything that boosts your gun crit damage is going to be relevant to your Double Knot. If they want to use Pixies, Deadshot best there is a different best combo. If you're using Fear Not Pixies, which scale off of spell damage and trigger spell effects, then Deadshot. If you're using Whatnot Pixies, which are the gun damage one, then probably Spellshot Blightcaller or Spellshot Stabomancer. Probably. Return for a good time. Welcome back, Swin. Hey, Egg White Knight, how you doing? Fuck Dragon Keep Skeletons here. All my homies hate Dragon Keep Skeletons here. Tell them the truth, Bazaar. Talk to them. Educate them. Either way, Spell Shot's still involved. Spell Shot is one of the peak for just things involving guns in general, and it is the peak for things involving spells. So obviously, if you have something that's straddling the line between gun and spell, it's best case there. And if you have something with guns, chances are it's still best case. It's just things that are guns, it's a general three-way toss-up between Spell, Spore, and Blight Caller, depending on exactly what you're doing. Fear Not Pixies you don't like, or all Pixies? All Pixies, but especially Fear Not Pixies. It's like all Pixies are in the realm of general distaste, but then Fear Not Pixies are in the realm of I will never enjoy this. The Spellshot and Berserker when I played is pretty fun. Yeah, it's a fun combo. Swarming for one also feels like it was designed for Salvador players, nobody else. Like taking a dot for bonus damage is great. It got a bunch of damage resistance, healing ammo, rage energy for squishy old 0, the die melts you fast, and you get some good stacks going. It just feels like the boss is not meant for you. It just forces you back into the corner of, hey, have you tried Moxie weapon cheesing? And like making your entire endgame revolve around 3 different bad game design choices, that being the slag system, the lifesteal system, and transferring weapon properties. I suppose 4 if we include the B, but it's less relevant. Then it's like, ugh. Strikes, though, strikes are great. Strikes have several gameplay layers around them. Specific use cases. They don't get an insane amount of formula, they're just guns. B is part of the transfer weapon properties thing. You know what, you're right, yeah. Pixies beat my ass, I don't know why, they're supposed to kill you. There's a few specific situations in which, like, a pixie ending can kill you because there's an explosion, or I've heard of them turning on you and doing friendly fire, but obviously I don't have first-hand experience with that one. B is fine if all projectiles are listed, still strong, but not a problem. Yeah. Grog to me is like Pixies for you, fucking hate him. I hate the Grog too. These games would be better off without lifesteal. And hey, Wonderlands doesn't have lifesteal, and it's got the most player-involved survivability of the recent games. Of course, it had the most people complaining that they couldn't survive, but that's probably because of a decade-long dependency on lifesteal. Or was just the multi-pellet effect. You have less of an issue with it? Yes, because the multi-pellet effect is interesting. It's actually unique. Creates its own gameplay loop and choice-making around it. But the gun also has a weirdly high crit mult. Is slag. Has the lifesteal. And then it has its own gimmick. Like, they didn't need to make it that oppressively useful. Like, it does too much. Oh, that Cyclops is actually smart. Kitten, Hail, Heartbreakers, how lifesteal weapons should be. I mean, BL3 Moxie weapons in general. only applies to the bullets that come from that gun, and then almost all of those guns are themselves balanced. Sure, crit and hail got power creep buffs, but the rest are balanced, except for the Vibra Pulse being shit. And then you have the Kings and Queens Call, which have lifesteal only if you crit with them. The Cure is another lifesteal gun, but it's, you know, balanced to be very middle of the road and also can't be anointed. Counter should be accurate now. The Grog's lifesteal down to around the Ruby, and maybe next to crit multiply, and that's a start. Cut the lifesteal entirely. The more damage you do, the less lifesteal you need, to a point where, for example, in Borderlands 3, Amara, the character with the least damage, can take 1 point of infusion to convert, 8% of 8% per point of her weapon's damage into elemental damage. So she can use that on a non-LE gun with 1 single point of sustainment. And then that becomes enough with non-elemental guns at endgame to fully heal you with each single instance of damage. That is a percentage. That is a single-digit percentage of a single-digit percentage of your damage. I can't speak. And it's still more than enough lifesteal. Basically, you get to a point where if you have damage, any amount of lifesteal is too much. Because it's just a question of, is there a lifesteal or not? I think Blizzard went poorly. We did it, but that action skill sucks. It took a full hour more on Chaos 20 with Blizzard than it did C100 with spells. So, somewhere around 300 spell casts for the run. Plus or minus an amount. Also, this spell build did not have additional movement speed, whereas the Blizzard build had, let's see, Cold Snap with, we were always enraged as well. 3 Cold Snap, always enraged. And we had Spore Warden's movement speed, kill skill on and fully stacked most of the run. So a difference of like, what, 80% movement speed? 2.5 hours for Blizzard's better than expected. It was C20. Satisfying round number of spells, too. I didn't know that about the Kings, Queens, or the Cure, probably because there's no trouble staying alive in BL3. Right, you don't even need them. Like, even if the lifesteal options didn't exist in BL3, there's not mechanics that are designed to tell you to go fuck yourself if you don't have lifesteal. There's a greater abundance of movement speed tech across characters, so you can simply avoid the damage. There's more options for things like aggro relief and healing from gear that isn't lifesteal, to the point where, as you said, you don't need any of that stuff anyway. It's simply better game design. And Wonderlands kind of continued that as well. There is no unavoidable damage in this game, with the exception of possibly one of Imelda's attacks, which I don't know if it's even unavoidable. It probably is. It's just that boss is also shit, and it's not worth factoring in anyway. There's no unavoidable damage in this game, and we don't have lifesteal in this game. And it still manages to feel like you have an active role in your survivability, and you don't get pressured any more than you allow. Like this run, I ran around with 0 shields and 3,000 HP. I don't have lifesteal. I heal by casting spells. And I get percentage healing over time. It's don't get hit or kill the thing. Oh, what about Kings, Queens? They have lifesteal and crit. I think the Grog is basically the only good source of healing for some characters to be able to. Well, things in the sphere of the Grog, I should say, because, you know, you can do all the things the Grog can do with the Ruby. And you can do, in theory, with other Moxie weapons as well, if those two things didn't exist. That is why Moxie weapons were overhauled the way they were in the next game. But yes, you do have, say, Zero, for example, who is extremely limited in the sphere of survivability things. But, that's also related to how BL2 as a game works, because the enemy design, the map design, the movement system. But they did also get better at designing skill trees for glass cannon characters later on, as shown in both TPS and Borderlands 3, and then also in this game. Playing Zero correctly, you should only ever need transfusions. That is only true for certain kinds of content. For example, if you are playing Melee Zero on OP10 Veracitus, then it's a little disingenuous to say you only need transfusions, right? Also, yes, correctly. That's a whole can of worms. Ever farmed a Longbow Zero Fuse Purple Flag Transfusion? Oh, we're back to the farming discussion, yeah. TPS Niche had one of the most interesting non-lifesteal team survival stuff they've done. I really like how Flak is just, you have some amount of passive healing. Rage and Recover, after they fix it, is one of the best passive healing things they've ever done. Requires you to play to the character's strengths. Requires you to kill to get the healing. So you kill to live. Kind of like how, if you've ever played the Mass Effect series, the Vanguard's Biotic Charge. You be more aggressive to survive. That's your sustain. But then Flak also has the aggro stuff, where it's simply don't get hit. And it's not a matter of... Ouch, excuse me. It's not a matter of being a god gamer and, you know, weaving your way through all the projectiles. That's certainly an option with how much move speed is available in that game, but it's aggro relief, aggro mechanics. Sneezes. And that is, once again, independent of gear-based survivability in that game. You have Frozen Heart and things like that for crowd control. Frozen Heart also heals you on the Nova. Auto Idol is another heal on kill. Using Falconer's Feast with Rack Pack for Rack Attack. As you can see, my brain's shut down for almost 5 hours. That's a Flak specific combination of gear and skill tree for survivability that is not lifesteal based. Various forms of shield tanking. Rack Pack, yes, I'm gonna start calling it that all the time. Love my paper skin husbando. Flak rack pack attack tactic. Yes. Bombing situations with high density, though, is nearly impossible to avoid getting hit altogether. Yes. To the point where all of these pieces combine and you do multiple things to engineer your own success and survival. Or you don't, and then you come into Twitch chats and tell people that, no, I did try everything. You're the problem. I'm not saying anyone here did that. That's a specific reference to a specific person. But it's like, if you don't do those things, in BL3, there ain't a grog nozzle to save you. Actually, doing a shotgun flak, any little note of normal things you'd suggest to give a shot? Flacker with 3-shot fadeaway is incredible. So, when you shoot something as your third shot of 3-shot fade, it does get the bonuses of fadeaway, but you're no longer in it. So, any of those hits that crit are going to iterate head count. So, if you happen to shoot something with enough hits as your third shot, it can give you back your fadeaway. So with Flacker and times 25 Stagecoach, for example, you can land enough hits to loop your own fadeaway. So it's a really fun playstyle to do that. I like that with shotguns on Flak. Also, shotguns are great with Leave No Trace in general. As long as you have some trigger discipline, you pause a third of a second before each shot, you can pretty much infinite mag any shotgun that's got over like 6 projectiles. People should pick Vault Hunters based on how hot they are. Based. I think Flag's Evertree and action skill is a bit of survival, fadeaway passive regen, and aggro. Rack attack has means for healing, and there's an aggro skill. Gamma burst for aggro, and also healing. No one uses Gravity Snare. Gravity Snare is shit, but one of the things about Gravity Snare that is not shit, like in a vacuum where you didn't have to invest in an entire skill tree, the aggro redirection augment of Grav Snare is actually good. Like, unironically good. If that action skill got that augment without investment, it would see use. Like, it's one of the most efficient things for doing crystals, by the way, because you just drop the snare in the crystal, and anything that walks in gets converted to your side and no longer counts against you. So you can literally just stand there in the crystal, and if they get close, they're then just going to stop the other things from getting close to you, and they won't even count against you when they're inside. Unironically really good. But that's about the only time Grav Snare is useful in the entire game, and that requires you putting 20 points in Purple Tree to get. Mara can punch me. Get in line. How much rack can a flak rack pack if a rack pack rack attack? Good question, bestie. Jack's a ton of fun. Oh, Timothy. Yeah. I was confused. I say I saw Beard Messiah trying to grab snare ammo regen built yesterday. People are free to, try to squeeze out the value where they can, but that's one of those cases of like, okay, you can use the forage augment on grab snare and get some ammo boosters. Or you could use any of the other ways of getting ammo back. It's like, You know? Mark can punch 8 people at once. No need for a line, a circle would work. Oh no. Jake, save me, they're being degens. Flacker, Shocker, Flammable Sledge, Fearmonger on the list. Let me think of others. Obviously a good Stagecoach if you get one. Insider. Insider's fun with 3-shot fadeaway as well. Nothingness is kind of like a Mal1 flavored Flacker. You can get the same performance out of that. ish. You just don't get the super high hit count, but it feels like a flacker in all other respects. Yeah, that's a couple more. Wasn't working all that well yet. Who knows? Did some more puzzle solving. The unfortunate thing about Grav Snare, on top of all the other stuff we mentioned, is that in no scenarios does it do anything better than just slapping Fade Away. So, like, if you want to have an action skill active for a duration, you have Fade Away and Gamma Burst for that. If you want to have an action skill, you can easily switch between having active and ending early for a bonus, 3-shot Fade Away. If you want an action skill, you can spam for action skill start and end triggers. Well, you have 3-shot Fade Away or Rack Attack. The Grav Snare Anoint is bugged and is tied to the Fade Away Anoint, so they are the same value, both 150%. And Fade Away itself also increases your damage on the shots from inside, whereas Grav Snare doesn't. It's like... It's unfortunate. Yeah, Burst Throw Reversal, yes. Amara's insanely unlikable, but it's funny because Amara's one of the only Vault Hunters that's, like, not super morally questionable. Like, she's got a terrible personality, but, like, she's a literal superhero. Whereas a bunch of other Vault Hunters are like, yeah, we got this murderer, this contract killer, this malfunctioning robot that decided instead of libraries it's into murder now. Like, Nisha literally kills puppies. Amara's half doing it for the fame, half doing it because she's a good person. Right, like, Amara's one of the only Vault Hunters you could actually consider heroic. But I think that's a fun decision they made, making her pretty unlikable. I'll play Siren, who's in a douchebag. I play Maya. I mean, Maya isn't a douchebag because they just never gave Maya a personality. So I suppose a blank slate can't be a douchebag. Lilith, completely insufferable. Amara, somewhat insufferable. So, yeah, that tracks. Love Timothy's gameplay, character-wise, such a bitch. Timothy in the Jackpot DLC has some nice moments, though. I like him. He's our boy. Yeah, Mose and Axton are heavily implied to be war criminals. Oh, we were talking about these the other day. Has Mordecai done anything shitty? I think Mordecai's just kind of chilling. Like, Mordecai might be with Amara on the level of, like, you could construe them as heroic. Mordecai's an alcoholic. It's not immoral, it's a personal struggle. Pretty sure Salvador ate some people. Gage makes murder robots, one of which killed one of her classmates. Roland goes in the Axton and Gage boat. Axton and Moe's boat, I suppose. Zero and Zane are contract killers. Is Claptrap bad? I mean, he wants to, like, take over the universe and stuff. He just sucks, so he can't. So he just kind of accepts being the butt of everyone's jokes. He started a Revolution, yeah. Yeah, I think Lilith and Brick are just kind of bandits. Mordecai's the Michael Cera of Borderlands. He just stumbles into situations and is too shy to get out of them. I don't know much of Krieg's story. Mostly just Hyperion victim. Yeah, yeah. Krieg doesn't have a lot of agency in his own backstory, I suppose. He was like hired to do something for Hyperion, right? And then they just started experimenting on him, if I'm remembering that correctly. Claptrap is evil, he's just stupid. Right. Krieg randomly killed people, but arguably not his own fault. Yeah, like, as the Psycho Krieg DLC, we know that Sane Krieg doesn't have control, and Insane Krieg is doing everything he does largely out of a desire to protect Sane Krieg. So it's like, you know, I wouldn't consider him necessarily by Borderlands standards. I wouldn't consider him super immoral. Like, remember, he's like tearing people apart and cackling about it. You know, real life standards, I don't know. Can't really mitigate that, but fictional universe. Love the super calm all endless lines in Krieg's idle dialogue. Yeah, Krieg's idle dialogue in BL2 is really cool, actually. Like, it's proof that they can flesh out characters through you know, little bits of dialogue and stuff, which is why it's so confusing to me that people latched on Maya as hard as they did. Well, I mean, I guess, you know, she's conventionally attractive. But like, they just didn't do that with her, but they did do it with Krieg. Makes sense why people love Krieg so much after only the one game. But with Maya, I'm like, what do you love? There's nothing here. It's Brick's story. Yeah, he punches things. Brick is a meathead with zero impulse control. Pretty much the whole thing. Hey, Cloud Kill. I love Cloud Kill. So convinced the opening of the vault in Pandora and a signal and then came from Elpis caused the whole revolution incident. I don't remember enough to argue. We'll leave Maya alone. She's got to hit the old dusty trail. Past tense, fun to play and hot, and they made even cooler Jedi Maya. Killed her off before we could get to a sex scene. That's why we're salty. Thank you for finally saying it out loud, Raid. Thank you. Thank you for confessing on behalf of all the Maya stands. Don't want to dust off that old debate. I think Brick could be talked to until they killed his dog, at least. He didn't take kindly to that. Yeah, post that, he became too extreme for even Roland, who, you know, signs off on some shit in the name of the greater good type deal. But it's notable that Roland is one of the more morally upstanding characters after they retconned him to be sane between games. And because he specifically is like, hang on, Lilith and Brick go too far. So it puts him in this area where he's in opposition to the methods of Lilith and Brick, and in opposition to Jack for like the whole he's Jack thing. So that really does reinforce the whole the Vault Hunters and Crimson Raiders aren't necessarily heroic. He's a politician, needs the world to forget about the shit he used to get up to. Yeah. Like, if you haven't listened to him in a while, load up Roland's voice lines from the first Borderlands. He's just as crazy as the rest of them in that game. They just needed a sane character to be the leader and push the plot forward in the second game, so they changed his personality. Any good people in the Borderlands story? Unironically, Ava. I'm gonna get heat for that one. I'd say Mordecai fits into that. There's that side mission in BL3 where he was, you know, trying to teach that teenage girl how to survive and take care of herself and stuff, and he found out she died while he was gone and was really broken up about it. Moxie shows some basic empathy. I was mad because we didn't get to know Maya. I wanted to because I enjoyed playing with her, and she's hot. BL2, we got to know the BL1 Vault Hunter, so I thought in BL3 we'd get to know the BL2 Vault Hunter. Sadly, we only got a couple. Yeah, yeah, that's totally valid. We didn't get to the point where we knew her more. Zero got a little bit, but most of Zero's development is also not in BL3. It's in Tails, right? Accident and Salvador got more fleshed out, but like more than nothing, they went from 0% development to 5% development. Like, okay, cool, I guess. Krieg got, I think, the treatment that people wanted for the BL2 Vault Hunters as a whole. Moxie has an entire arena dedicated to Bloodsport. See, this is where we have to, like, make that adjustment for the universe they're in. For example, Mr. Torg is Mr. Torg, but Mr. Torg is also one of the only characters who talks about treating your fellow human beings with basic decency. And then he'll talk about blowing them up violently. So it's like we need to change our metrics for this universe. Like Torg talks about treating women with respect and having dialogues setting up aside personal biases and whatnot. Like Torg's super based, but he also just murders people like the rest of them. BL3 instead, we got all those more hours of Brick, Tina, Mordecai, Lilith dialogue in the screen time. I'm still so annoyed that the B team was just crowbarred into BL3 like that, just because people were like, yay, Tiny Tina, Brick, Mordecai again. Like, Tina as a character somehow regressed in BL3. Yes, the character who had 2 emotional moments in the entirety of BL2, one of which was undercut by a butthole joke, somehow had even less personality in the following title. And it's just proof, like, don't bring things back if they don't have a place. It applies to weapons, it applies to characters, it applies to plot points. It's just like, maybe give something that could use the screen time. Imagine if they had given, you know, all that Tina, Brick, Mordecai stuff elsewhere. Now, Mordecai's stuff was fine because I enjoyed that one side mission where, had some actual emotional impact and did a lot to build up what it would actually be like to have a family on Pandora. Like, TK Baja level of, oh, that's just sad. Space Mutants old, I guess. Doesn't care what people think in a positive way. Would Athena better when she realizes her orders are messed up? Probably goes in the pile of reformed by Borderlands universe standards. But like, obviously, real world, she's going down for war crimes, etc. Intergalactic assassin that turned on her handlers Kratos style. And there you go. So she's John Wick. Except Brick has the motivation there. Athena, Kratos, both somewhat Greek. Athena working for Atlas. They intentionally did the Greek thing there. John Brick. Love it. Back what I missed? No, we're just chatting about lore and characters and stuff. Just because I don't feel like clicking end stream yet. Running back and forth in the chamber. Yeah, I should get some food and stuff. Today was a 2-for-1 special. We did the Blizzard run, which was absolutely miserable. It was like 50 blizzards, 2 hours, 20 something minutes on Chaos 20. Definitely uphill. But then we did a spells only run at C100. And in roundabout 300 spells, an hour 27 minutes. By far the fastest we've done of all of these runs. At C100. Just chilling. So that was fun. I'm thinking Bird and Break's pretty hard in Borderlands standards. Yeah. I'm thinking the next run we do Bog Totem. Bog Totem. So I'll spend some time tonight figuring out what I'm doing for that. I'll probably end up going through all of the action skills, in all honesty. At least all the ones that are reasonable to do. Obviously not doing Plague Storm. I still don't know what I would do for Reaper of Bones. But yeah, we still have Bog Totem, Ghostblade, Dreadwind, Reaper of Bones. Yeah. But let me see if anyone's live. Go hang out. And I will be live tomorrow. I always enjoy chatting with you guys. We just sat here shooting the shit for a while. Never gets old. Let's see, Cat is on BL3, BZK is on BL2, Ruka's on Fortnite. Pascaroni's on Far Cry 6. Lazy's on Elden Ring, Scarlet's on BL3. Dame's on Death Stranding. I still want to play Death Stranding eventually, just to see like what is even happening. Liz is playing Destiny. Oh, let's go to Lazy. See what he's doing. Polymorph is well sent. Yeah. Forgot Polymorph. Death Stranding, surprisingly amazing. Do recommend. I do have it. I grabbed it. It was free on Epic a while ago, so I do have the game. I've just not played it. Thanks again, everyone. I had a lot of fun today. Thank you for keeping me sane through Blizzard. Eat some good food. Wash your ass. Don't use Blizzard. Those are my 3 biggest life tips.